The U.S. Supreme Court has just upheld a Tennessee law that bans gender-affirming care for minors, even if it's prescribed by a doctor. Our chief legal affairs correspondent, Paula Reed, is following all these developments for us. Paula, what can you tell us about the Supreme Court's decision?
Well, this is one of the big cases we've been watching this term because roughly half of states have a ban that is similar to the one in Tennessee. And this focuses on access to certain medications that can facilitate a gender transition. After Tennessee banned minors from accessing these medications for this purpose, families of transgender youth, they brought a lawsuit saying, hey, this violates the Equal Protection Clause because other minors who are using the same medication for different purposes can still have access to it. But today in this 6-3 decision, it fell along party lines. The Supreme Court affirmed this law in Tennessee. And in the majority, Chief Justice John Roberts wrote, this case carries with it the weight of fierce scientific and policy debates about the safety, efficacy, and propriety of medical treatments in an evolving field. Now, 3 liberal justices dissented. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, she wrote, the court, quote, abandons transgender children and their families to political whims. And she wrote, quote, in sadness, I dissent. Now, going forward, what we'll be looking for is the impact that this decision has on other possible laws, because over the past several years, we've seen a lot of laws targeting transgender individuals, specifically minors. And after this decision, we now know that those laws, they're going to be reviewed under a lower standard, making it easier for them to pass judicial review.
What major cases are we still waiting for this Supreme Court to decide on before they take their summer break?
So we still have over a dozen outstanding cases, but there's 3 big ones. The biggest one is their decision on birthright citizenship, which is really a decision about judicial power. Can one judge anywhere in the country block a policy that has been implemented by the White House, by the president, for the entire country? President Trump's lawyers, they tell me this is the #1 thing they are watching because we know President Trump, he uses executive action, executive authority a lot, and those are often blocked by judges. We're also looking at a case that asks whether parents can opt out of curriculum or instruction that has to do with LGBTQ books or other curriculum items. That's a big one. And also a requirement in Texas that you have to verify your age by providing your identification in order to access pornography. Now, a lot of terms, they have over a dozen major cases. This term has only had a few, but again, any of these cases would have an enormous impact on the lives of especially millions of Americans.
You're going to be very busy over these next few days. Paula Reed, thank you very, very much. And David Chalian and Sungmin Kim are back with us right now. David, 27 states, as you know, have passed bans on gender-affirming care. The issue of trans rights was maybe the most important culture war issue of the 2024 election. Will it continue to be?
It was certainly one of them, and it is continuing to be. If you look at advertising on the Republican side, even this early on, we're still a year and a half or so from the midterms, Wolf, and you can see a lot of Republican candidates are making sure to put trans issues from their perspective into their paid advertising. I think, listen, you got to separate out the politics of this from the real human impact of this. I think as Paula noted, we're going to learn what the human impact is of this court decision among families across the country. But in the politics of it, I think the 2 things to watch are how Republicans will sort of hit the gas on this issue, what they believe is a winning culture war issue for them, and watch how Democrats, especially those considering a 2028 presidential campaign, respond to this court ruling. Have they learned to message around this issue in a way that's more politically palatable than what Kamala Harris was able to do back in 24?
Sungmin, after years of making transgender rights a key campaign issue, many elected Democrats have taken a step back right now. Do you see this ruling potentially galvanizing the party?
Well, it's hard to see. I think David is spot on with the balancing act that these Democratic leaders will have to take when it comes to this issue. I have Republicans tell me over and over how winning politically of an issue transgender rights issues for their party, particularly when it comes to the issue of transgender women participating in sports. They feel like that is a complete, political winner for them. And how those leading contenders really massage this issue by making sure that this is a part party that is sensitive to LGBTQ people and their needs and their rights, but while trying to kind of not, pigeonhole themselves into a broad, just a party that seems to be focused just on that issue will be a balancing act, because the Trump campaign really was able to successfully kind of, characterize Kamala Harris, based on her answers from the 2020 primary campaign as really singularly focused on that issue and not focused on the issues of the broader American public, on the economy, et cetera, and it really will be a challenge for the 28 candidates.
David, just like abortion rights, we're about to see transgender rights become very different depending on whether you live in a red or blue state. What could that mean for the country?
You note the abortion rights example. I mean, you are going to see a patchwork of laws, and you're going to see in the states where there are Democratic-controlled legislatures probably try to legislate and insulate from this court ruling in some ways. But when you have a Supreme Court ruling that paves the path, you see nationwide standards start to take place. And so I think that's likely this ruling's impact across the nation will go beyond just red states.
David Chalian and Seung-Min Kim, thanks to both of you very, very much.